You will never master your life until you master your emotions. You will never find peace until you stop reacting to noise. The world rewards the loud, but the strong rise in silence. Quiet discipline is not weakness. It is control. It is power. It is the ability to do what must be done, without applause, without validation, without hesitation. This audiobook is your blueprint for mental composure, emotional mastery, and relentless focus. Listen carefully. Apply relentlessly. Rise quietly. You waste too much time explaining yourself, too much energy defending your choices, too much breath trying to convince people who will never understand you. And for what? Validation? Approval? Permission to do what you already know you need to do? You don't need their permission, you never did. Every minute you spend explaining is a minute stolen from execution. Every conversation trying to prove yourself is a distraction from progress. The loud are busy talking. The disciplined are busy doing. That's the difference. That's the key. You have a choice. Spend your energy explaining your vision, or spend it building it. But you cannot do both. Quiet people let results speak. Quiet people move differently. They understand that explanations are for the uncertain. And you're not uncertain. You're focused. The most disciplined athletes don't argue about their work. They show up, they train, they execute. While others debate, they act. While others explain, they perform. While others post, they prepare. Talk less, move more, prove nothing. That's the mindset of the quiet executor. They know energy is finite, and if you burn it defending yourself, you have none left to build yourself. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your standards, not for your focus, not for your solitude, not for your pace. If they don't understand your silence, they were never meant to understand your success. You see, the world is addicted to noise. People confuse talking about a goal with working toward it. They crave attention more than mastery, and that's why they stay average. But not you. You are building in silence. You are operating in discipline. You are executing without applause. That's your edge. That's your power. When you explain too much, you dilute your focus. You start questioning your own decisions. You let other people's opinions rewrite your priorities. Stop doing that. Stop explaining your moves to people who haven't earned a seat in your process. Stop giving commentary on every step you take. You're not a broadcaster, you're a builder. And builders don't narrate every brick they lay. Here's the truth. Explanations are emotional leakage. They are the mind's way of asking for validation before committing fully. But discipline doesn't need validation. It demands action. You have a choice. You can seek comfort through understanding, or strength through execution. The disciplined choose strength. They understand that silence is commitment. They understand that action is the only explanation that matters. Think about the greats. Kobe didn't announce every early morning practice. He just showed up. He let the work do the talking. You think Elon Musk is explaining every decision? No. He's executing at scale while others are still tweeting opinions. Results speak louder than any explanation ever could. And the quiet ones, they know that. This is how you reclaim your time. Stop defending your ambition. Stop proving your worth. Stop apologizing for being obsessed. You're not cold. You're focused. You're not distant. You're disciplined. You're not arrogant. You're aware of your direction. It's not about ego. It's about execution. That's the key. When you stop explaining, something changes. You start moving faster. Your energy becomes sharper. Your actions gain weight. Because you no longer need to convince. You just need to complete. Every I'll show them becomes I'll show up. Every they don't get me becomes they don't need to. That's discipline, that's maturity, that's quiet control. So what does this look like in your life? It looks like working on your goals in silence. It looks like declining distractions without apology. It looks like ignoring the noise and honoring the plan. When people question you, don't explain, smile, nod, keep moving. When they criticize you, don't defend, keep building. When they doubt you, don't argue. Let time prove you right. because time always does. You must understand, explaining drains momentum. It feeds the ego, not the mission. And the ego always wants to be understood. But discipline doesn't care. Discipline doesn't need to be understood. It needs to be done. That's the lesson. That's the code. You don't need their understanding. You need your consistency. You don't need their praise. You need your progress. Stop talking. Start moving. Stop explaining. Start executing. Every day, ask yourself one question. Am I talking about it, or am I doing it? If the answer is talk, stop. If the answer is do, continue. Simple, direct, effective. That's discipline. Here's the paradox. The quieter you become, the louder your results get. The less you explain, the more people notice. Because silence amplifies impact. When you stop seeking to be understood, you start being remembered. When you stop explaining, you start commanding attention through performance. That's how leaders are made. Not through words, through work. You want authority? Earn it through execution. You want respect? Win it through results. The world doesn't reward noise, it rewards proof. And proof requires patience. It requires endurance. It requires quiet. So today, make the decision. Cut the commentary. Stop narrating your grind. Stop apologizing for your pace. You don't owe the world your explanation. You owe yourself your evolution. That's the shift. That's the moment discipline begins. Talk less. Move more. Prove nothing. Say it again. Talk less. Move more. Prove nothing. You have a choice. Keep explaining why you're not where you want to be. Or start executing until no one can deny it. Silence the noise. Sharpen the action. Execute relentlessly, because quiet discipline always wins. You've taken the first step. You've stopped explaining. Now you're ready for the next. The mastery of emotional stillness. You mastered your focus. Now, let's master your reaction. Chapter 2. The power of emotional stillness. You will never master your life until you master your emotions. That's the truth most people ignore. They chase control in everything outside themselves. Money, people, outcomes. But they crumble when they can't control what's inside. The battle is not in the world. It's in the mind. It's in the pause between what happens and how you respond. That's where your power lives. That's the key. Emotional stillness is not the absence of feeling. It's the mastery of response. It's the discipline to feel the chaos and not become it. The weak react. The disciplined respond. The weak let emotion drive the wheel. The disciplined sit calmly in the storm, hands steady, vision clear. That's emotional stillness. Control in the middle of noise. Not because you don't care, but because you understand that reacting wastes power and responding multiplies it. You have a choice. Every time you're provoked, every time you're disrespected, every time life tests you, you can explode, or you can hold, you can react, or you can rise. That choice defines your character more than any achievement ever will. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is strategy. When you stay calm, you stay in control. When you stay calm, you can see clearly. And when you see clearly, you win. Because chaos blinds people. Anger blinds people. But calm gives you vision. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they're emotional. They make permanent decisions from temporary feelings. They speak before they think. They quit before they reflect. And then they blame the world. But it wasn't the world. It was their lack of stillness. It's not about how you feel. It's about how you act in spite of how you feel. That's the discipline. That's the edge. Think about a soldier in battle. Heart pounding. Noise everywhere. Yet they move precisely, methodically, calm under pressure. That's trained emotional control. That's power in chaos. That's discipline, embodied. You need that same calm for your own war. Because every day life is throwing distractions. insults, temptations, and setbacks at you. And your ability to stay still inside determines how far you go outside. You can't build a disciplined life on an undisciplined mind. You can't lead others if you can't lead your own reactions. People who react to everything stay in the same cycle: triggered, defensive, angry, always burning energy on things that don't matter. But those who stay still, they conserve energy. They use emotion as fuel, not fire. They channel pressure into performance. That's what quiet power looks like. So how do you develop emotional stillness? You train it, like a muscle. Every time you want to react, pause. That pause is your weapon. That pause is control. That pause is the moment where the weak lose and the disciplined rise. When someone disrespects you, don't respond instantly. Breathe. Step back. Think, what reaction aligns with my mission? Because if it doesn't serve your purpose, it doesn't deserve your energy. Understand this. Emotion is not the enemy. Undisciplined emotion is. You're human. You'll feel anger, frustration, fear. But you can own those feelings instead of obeying them. Stillness doesn't mean numbness, it means direction. It means you choose your response, not your emotion. That's mastery. That's strength. The great leaders, the warriors, the creators, they're not emotionless. They're just composed. Because they know emotion clouds logic. They know reacting too fast can destroy years of work in seconds. One angry outburst can ruin your reputation. One emotional post can damage your credibility. One impulsive decision can derail your progress. Stillness prevents that. Stillness protects you from yourself. You have to stop feeding emotion with attention. Stop replaying the insult. Stop obsessing over who wronged you. Stop chasing the argument. You don't owe emotion more energy than a breath. Acknowledge it. Understand it. Then move forward with control. That's emotional stillness. And it's rare because most people want to feel right, while the disciplined want to be effective. Choose effectiveness. Choose control. That's the key. When you master emotional stillness, you gain what most people never have: clarity. You see opportunities they miss. You stay consistent when they crumble. You hold composure under pressure because you've built an inner fortress, one that noise cannot break. That's the goal, not emotional numbness, emotional command. You have a choice. Feed your emotions or train them. React to the world or rule your world. Stillness is the difference. So how do you practice this daily? 3 steps. Simple, but powerful. Step 1. Awareness. Notice when emotion hits. Catch yourself before you react. Awareness breaks the pattern. Step 2. Breath. Breathe deeply. It sounds simple, but breath is the bridge between chaos and control. Control your breath and you control your response. Step 3. Redirection. Don't fight the emotion. Use it. Channel frustration into work. Channel anger into focus. Channel pain into purpose. That's what disciplined people do. They convert emotion into energy. It's not about suppressing what you feel. It's about mastering how you use it. Emotion is power when controlled, poison when unmanaged. Don't be driven by what you feel in the moment. Be driven by what you've committed to long-term. Because the mission doesn't care about your mood. Your future doesn't care about your feelings. And your discipline should never depend on your emotion. That's emotional stillness. That's true control. People will test you. Life will test you. You'll be provoked, disrespected, ignored, misunderstood. Let them. Your silence will say more than your reaction ever could. Your calm will confuse them. Your control will inspire them. Because stillness is strength. And strength doesn't need to shout. So remember this. The next time chaos surrounds you, stop. The next time emotion floods you, pause. The next time your mind screams to react, breathe. You have a choice every single time. Feel it. But don't feed it. That's the code. Because calm is your weapon, stillness is your edge, and silence, that's your power. You've learned to stop explaining. Now you've learned to stay still. The foundation is built. But to sustain discipline, You must remove the biggest weakness of all, the need for validation. You've learned to control emotion. Now it's time to control approval. Chapter 3. The silent cost of seeking validation. You are wasting power every time you look for approval. You are bleeding focus every time you wait to be understood. You are handing your peace away every time you need someone to notice you. Validation is the silent addiction that kills discipline. It's quiet, it's subtle, and it destroys greatness one compliment at a time. You don't need their validation. You need your vision. That's the key. You think you're building discipline, but the moment you look over your shoulder to see who's watching, you break it. You think you're strong, but if one opinion can shake you, you're not in control yet. Because as long as your peace depends on their praise, you're not free. You're owned. Owned by opinions. Owned by attention. Owned by applause. You have a choice. Be addicted to progress, or addicted to being seen. One builds empires, the other builds emptiness. Validation feels good, that's why it's dangerous. It gives you a false hit of confidence. It tricks your brain into thinking being noticed equals being worthy. But it doesn't. You're not supposed to feel worthy because they approve of you. You're supposed to feel worthy because you follow through. The disciplined know this. Validation fades. Consistency compounds. Talk fades. Work endures. That's the truth. That's the key. The most dangerous trap for disciplined people is external recognition. The more you achieve, the more people praise you. And slowly you start working for the praise instead of the purpose. You lose the hunger. You lose the focus. You start performing for applause instead of progress. And once that happens, discipline dies. Because discipline lives in silence, it grows in solitude. It's strengthened by rejection, not applause. Think of the greats. Michael Jordan didn't play for applause, he played for mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote his journals for himself, not for followers. You never saw them beg to be understood. They were too busy executing. Because validation is noise, and purpose is signal. When you chase the noise, you lose the signal. When you crave applause, you lose authenticity. The disciplined path requires that you walk alone sometimes, unseen, uncelebrated, misunderstood. But that's where power is born. Ask yourself, would you still do the work if nobody saw it? Would you still show up if nobody clapped? Would you still stay disciplined if the world ignored you? That's the real test. Because discipline isn't about being seen, it's about being consistent. The quiet achievers are not chasing validation. They are chasing precision. They are chasing growth. They are chasing mastery. Validation distracts you from mastery. It makes you act for approval instead of purpose. It makes you change your pace to please others instead of perfecting your craft. Stop doing that. Stop explaining yourself to people who haven't done what you're doing. Stop waiting for acknowledgement from those who don't understand your mission. You don't need their applause. You need your alignment. Let's break it down simply. Validation does 3 things to the undisciplined mind. 1. It delays action. You wait for permission to begin. You wait to be told you're ready. But discipline doesn't wait. Discipline starts. 2. It distorts focus. You start chasing likes instead of results. You confuse attention for progress. That's how you lose your way. 3. It drains consistency. The moment praise stops, so do you. The moment recognition fades, so does your effort. That's not strength. That's dependency. And dependency is weakness. You cannot build discipline on weakness. You must build the habit of internal validation. You must build a system where you are the judge, you are the critic, you are the source of reward. No one else. When you wake up early, you know. When you stay consistent, you know. When you stay quiet and still, you know. That's all the validation you need. Because the disciplined don't need applause. They need progress. And progress is its own reward. Here's the truth. Validation makes you predictable. It makes you easy to manipulate. People can control you with approval and silence can break you. But when you no longer crave approval, you become unstoppable. When you no longer chase attention, you become untouchable. Because no one can take away something you no longer need. That's emotional freedom. That's mental toughness. That's quiet discipline. Every time you seek validation, remember, you're trading focus for approval. You're trading peace for applause. You're trading self-respect for external respect. It's not worth it. You don't need their recognition. You need your repetition. You don't need their praise. You need your process. That's the mindset. That's the standard. Real validation comes from results. From the mirror, not the crowd. From your routine, not their reaction. When you hit your targets, you know. When you kept your word, you know. When you moved in silence and stayed the course, you know. That's all that matters. The disciplined live for that feeling. Quiet pride. Not the noise of recognition, but the satisfaction of knowing they did what they said they would do. So, here's your challenge. Detach from praise. Detach from being seen. Detach from being liked. And instead, attach to mastery. Attach to process. Attach to execution. You have a choice. Keep feeding your ego or strengthen your focus. Keep chasing validation or chase consistency. One path leads to approval. The other leads to freedom. Choose freedom. Choose quiet discipline. That's the key. Validation has a cost, your independence, and the price is too high. Because the moment you stop needing approval, you start moving faster, stronger, quieter. You stop hesitating. You stop explaining. You stop proving. You just do. You just move. You just rise. Silently. Consistently. Powerfully. That's the path. That's the way. You've learned to stop explaining. You've learned to stay still. And now, you've learned to detach from the noise. The world's opinions are no longer your compass. Your purpose is. You're ready for the next stage of quiet discipline, the shift from emotion to repetition, from motivation to consistency. You've silenced the noise. Now, let's build the machine. Chapter 4. Ruthless consistency beats motivation. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire. Motivation gets you started. Consistency keeps you moving. And here's the truth. Motivation will lie to you. It'll make you feel ready one day and empty the next. It's unstable. It's emotional. It's unreliable. But consistency is ruthless. It shows up no matter how you feel. It's the quiet weapon of people who win long-term. That's the difference. That's the key. Anyone can work when they feel inspired. Anyone can grind when it's exciting. But the disciplined, they work when it's boring. They move when it's uncomfortable. They execute when motivation is dead. You have a choice. Be a slave to your emotions, or be a servant to your mission. You can't be both. It's not about being motivated. It's about being consistent. That's the truth most people avoid. Motivation is temporary energy. Consistency is permanent identity. You're not trying to feel good. You're trying to become good. You're not chasing the rush. You're building the foundation. That's why the disciplined don't chase feelings. They chase repetition. Repetition is boring. Repetition is silent. Repetition is where transformation happens. Because consistency is what carves results out of time. Think about it. A seed doesn't grow because of one day of sunlight. It grows because of consistent exposure, day after day. Your goals work the same way. They don't grow because of one burst of motivation. They grow because you keep showing up. Every rep counts. Every small act compounds. Every day you show up tired, unfocused, unmotivated, that's where the power is built. Because that's where most people quit. That's where you keep going. That's where you separate yourself. Consistency is not glamorous, it's quiet. It's repetitive. It's lonely. You'll do the same things every day. You'll see little change at first. You'll question yourself. But that's the process. That's the grind no one posts about. The world shows the result. Discipline lives in the repetition. The quiet mornings, the long nights, the small choices. That's where success hides, not in the moments of hype, but in the hours of silence. You have to train yourself to work without emotion. Work when you're tired. Work when you're uninspired. Work when it's inconvenient. That's how you become consistent, because consistency isn't about intensity, it's about endurance. Anyone can sprint for a week, but who can walk forward every day for a year? That's discipline. Consistency doesn't ask, "Do I feel like it?" It asks, "What needs to be done?" That's the mindset shift. That's where you go from motivated to unstoppable. Here's what you need to understand. Motivation is external. Consistency is internal. Motivation depends on your environment. Consistency depends on your decision. If your work ethic changes with your mood, you're not disciplined yet. If your drive disappears when it's inconvenient, you're not committed yet. But when you can keep going, when you can move through boredom, through doubt, through resistance, that's when you're becoming someone different. That's when the old you starts to fade. Because the old you quit when it was hard. The new you doesn't stop. That's transformation. You don't need motivation. You need momentum. You don't need hype. You need habits. Discipline is built through repetition, not excitement. Every time you follow through, even when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your identity. You tell yourself, "I keep my word." You prove to yourself, "I show up." You reinforce to yourself, "I'm consistent no matter what." And that becomes your power. That becomes who you are. Here's the truth. The world respects consistency more than talent, because talent is wasted without repetition. The strongest don't win because they're gifted. They win because they're reliable, because they keep showing up when everyone else disappears. That's the law of quiet discipline. Repetition beats inspiration every time. You can't fake consistency. You can't post it. You can't talk it into existence. You have to live it, day after day, choice after choice. So what does ruthless consistency look like? It's not flashy. It's not exciting. It's controlled repetition. You wake up at the same time, you work on your craft every day. You follow through on your promises. You do what needs to be done, without emotion, without audience. Because it's not about feeling ready, it's about doing what matters. That's how quiet discipline is built, through small, consistent actions done without applause. Here's the simple truth. Motivation burns fast. Consistency burns slow. But slow burns last longer. And that's what you need. Endurance. The ability to keep going long after motivation has left the room. So build systems, not moods. Build habits, not hype. Build consistency. That's the only thing you can trust when emotion fails you, because it will fail you. But consistency never does. You have a choice every morning, to wait for motivation or to act from discipline, to feel ready or to be ready. The disciplined act. They move, they execute. They don't wait for the mood, they create momentum. Remember this, you can't control how you feel every day, but you can control what you do every day. And that's what builds greatness. Control of action, not control of feeling. Consistency compounds. That's the secret most people never learn, because they quit too soon. They give up right before the momentum kicks in, but not you. You'll keep going. Because you understand consistency doesn't show results at first. It tests you first. It asks, "Are you serious?" It asks, "Can you endure the quiet?" It asks, "Can you keep going without proof?" If the answer is yes, you win. Every time. It's not about motivation, it's about mastery. It's not about feeling inspired. It's about becoming reliable. Ruthless consistency. That's the foundation of quiet discipline. So stop chasing moods. Start chasing progress. Stop waiting to feel ready. Start acting like you already are. Because discipline isn't about hype. It's about repetition. It's about control. It's about being unstoppable, no matter how you feel. That's power, that's freedom, that's you. You've learned to stop explaining. You've learned to stay still. You've detached from validation. And now you've built the rhythm of consistency. But to sustain discipline, you must learn to let go of something deeper. The obsession with outcomes. You've mastered consistency. Now it's time to master detachment. Chapter 5. Detach from the outcome. You're obsessed with results, that's your problem. You want control over everything, the timing, the recognition, the reward. But that obsession is killing your focus. Because the truth is this: you can control your effort, but you cannot control the outcome. You can master your process, but you cannot predict the result. The disciplined understand this. They detach from outcomes and stay loyal to execution. That's the secret. That's the key. Attachment creates pressure. Detachment creates power. When you're attached, every small setback feels personal. Every delay feels like failure. Every moment of uncertainty breaks your focus. But when you're detached, when you operate without emotional dependence, when you move cleaner, you move faster, you move freer, you don't chase approval, you don't demand proof, you just do the work. And that's the paradox. The people who stop chasing results are the ones who start getting them. You see, attachment is ego. It's your desire to control everything. It's your fear of being unseen. But discipline isn't about control. It's about surrender, to the process, to the moment, to the grind. When you detach from the outcome, you free yourself from fear. You free yourself from expectation. You free yourself from noise. And in that silence, you find clarity. You find peace. You find power. Most people burn out because they confuse effort with entitlement. They think, if I work hard, I deserve results now. But the universe doesn't work on your timeline. Mastery takes longer than you think. You plant the seed. You water it. You wait. You trust. That's discipline. Patience without frustration. Effort without obsession. You have to train yourself to love the work more than the reward. Because when you love the process, you never lose. Let's be clear. Detachment doesn't mean apathy. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop needing. You still want the goal. You still pursue it with precision. But your identity doesn't depend on the outcome. That's freedom. That's the mindset of a master. The amateur says, I'll be happy when I win. The disciplined say, I'm fulfilled because I'm growing. One is chained to results. The other is free through effort. That's the difference between emotional chaos and quiet control. Look at the greatest in any field. Athletes, creators, soldiers, thinkers. They execute without obsession. They don't cling to outcomes. They follow routines. They trust the system. They focus on the next rep, the next move, the next moment. Because the outcome takes care of itself when the process is pure. You can't fake that kind of peace. It's earned through repetition, through failure, through detachment. Here's the truth. Attachment drains energy. Detachment channels it. When you're attached, your mind is split, half in fear, half in hope. When you're detached, your mind is unified, fully in motion. The attached person hesitates. The detached person executes. And the one who executes always wins, even when the scoreboard doesn't show it yet, because they're not competing for validation. They're competing against their own potential. You have to stop measuring progress by results. Results are delayed reflections of discipline. They show up long after the work is done. So keep your eyes on the habit, not the reward. Because when you obsess over results, you stop improving. When you obsess over the craft, results follow automatically. It's not about control, it's about consistency. It's not about when, it's about how well. That's how you detach. That's how you win without chasing. You have to understand something powerful. You're not in control of timing, only effort. You can't force outcomes. You can only align actions. So let go of the obsession. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the expectation. When you stop needing, you start attracting. When you stop forcing, you start flowing. When you stop grasping, you start growing. Because desperation is noise, and noise kills execution. But detachment is quiet. Detachment is calm. Detachment is focus. That's why discipline is always quiet. Because disciplined people don't panic. They don't rush. They don't compare. They trust their system. They control their inputs. They move with precision, not emotion. You have a choice. Attach and suffer. Or detach and execute. Stop tying your worth to outcomes. Stop letting results define your value. You are not your progress chart. You are your process. That's where your freedom lives, in the work itself. So here's how you build detachment. First, commit to the process, not the praise. Second, track actions, not outcomes. Third, replace expectation with effort. Every day your only goal is this: do the work. That's it. That's enough. You do it again tomorrow, and again the next day, because that's discipline. Steady, quiet, consistent. No panic, no rush, no noise. You're detached, you're dangerous, you're unstoppable. When you detach, you stop chasing perfection. You start chasing consistency. You stop reacting to failure. You start learning from it. You stop needing proof. You start becoming proof. That's transformation. That's control. That's discipline. The most dangerous person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who doesn't care if they win today, because they know they'll still be standing tomorrow. That's quiet power. That's the power of detachment. You're not emotional. You're not reactive. You're strategic. You're patient. You're steady. Because you know, the process is the prize. The journey is the mastery. The discipline is the win. That's the mindset that lasts. That's the mindset that frees you. Detach from the outcome. Detach from the noise. Detach from the pressure. You don't need their approval. You don't need instant proof. You just need consistency, patience, and focus. Because that's what quiet discipline really means. Control over your attention, not control over results. When you master that, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, nothing outside you can break you. You've learned to execute without explaining. You've built consistency. You've detached from results. Now it's time to protect your most valuable weapon, your focus. Next. Chapter 6. Protect your focus. Like your life depends on it. Your focus is your life. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Where your energy flows, your reality grows. If you lose control of your focus, you lose control of your life. That's the truth most people never face, because distraction is the real enemy. Not fear, not failure. Distraction. The world is designed to destroy your attention. Every notification, every headline, every meaningless opinion, it all pulls at your mind, and most people give it away for free. They hand over their focus like it's nothing. But the disciplined, they guard it like it's gold. Because it is. Focus is the most valuable currency you own. That's the key. You can't build anything meaningful when your mind is divided. You can't master yourself when your attention is scattered. Every distraction steals time, but worse, it steals direction. You check your phone, you scroll, you compare, and you wonder why you feel lost. You're not lost. You're just unfocused. Your mind is pulled in 100 directions, and a divided mind can't execute. Focus is the foundation of quiet discipline. Without it, everything collapses. Here's the hard truth. You can't do deep work in a shallow environment. So you have to build barriers. You have to create systems that protect your focus. Silence your phone. Block distractions. Set boundaries. Say no to noise. Not once. Every day. Every hour. Because focus fades fast, and the world wants to take it from you. You have to choose. Be available to everyone, or be exceptional at one thing. You can't be both. That's the trade-off. That's the discipline. You don't need more time. You need fewer leaks. You don't need more motivation. You need more focus. Because focus is the amplifier of all discipline. It turns effort into excellence. It turns consistency into mastery. But you have to protect it. Aggressively. Ruthlessly. That means eliminating everything that drains your attention but gives you nothing back. People. Apps. Habits. conversations. You don't owe anyone your focus. You don't need to explain your silence. You don't need their permission to disconnect. Because your purpose deserves your full attention, not your leftover energy. The world will test your focus every day. It will offer you comfort instead of challenge, distraction instead of depth, noise instead of clarity. But you have a choice. You can either consume or create, react or respond, scatter your mind or sharpen it. That's the daily battle. That's the mental war. And only those who fight it consciously ever build anything that lasts. Focus is built through subtraction, not addition. Remove what doesn't matter. Remove what doesn't serve your mission. Remove what steals your energy. Because every yes costs you something. Every commitment splits your attention. The disciplined understand this. That's why they say no more often than they say yes. They don't chase everything. They master one thing. They know that focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing less, better. That's control. That's power. You have to train your brain to stay on one path. That means deep work. That means boredom. That means stillness. Because deep focus is uncomfortable at first. Your mind will resist it. It will crave distraction. It will search for escape. That's normal. That's the test. Stay with it. Sit in the boredom. Stay locked in when your mind screams for stimulation. That's how you rewire discipline. That's how you take back control. You can't be mentally tough without focused attention. You can't build inner peace if your mind is scattered. And you can't execute at a high level if your energy is fragmented. Focus is the bridge between intention and execution. It's what turns ideas into action. It's what separates busy people from productive people. Busy is noise. Focused is precision. Busy looks active. Focused is effective. That's the difference. That's the key. Here's how to protect your focus in a world built to break it. Step 1. Start your day in silence. No phone, no messages, no noise. Give your mind room to think before the world demands its attention. Step 2. Block your time. Structure creates freedom. If it's not scheduled, it's optional, and optional doesn't get done. Step 3. Protect your energy. You can't focus if you're drained. Sleep, move, eat clean. A sharp mind requires a disciplined body. Step 4. Guard your digital diet. Every scroll, every click, every meaningless argument online, it costs you focus. And once attention is lost, it takes time to rebuild. That's why silence isn't weakness. It's recovery. That's why isolation isn't loneliness. It's alignment. Most people are addicted to stimulation. They need noise to feel alive. But silence? Silence is where clarity is born. The disciplined seek silence. They understand that focus is sharpened in solitude, because solitude reveals what truly matters and what never did. You don't find focus in chaos. You build it in quiet. You build it through boundaries. You build it by protecting your attention like your future depends on it, because it does. You have to stop treating focus like a suggestion. It's survival. It's everything, because what you focus on expands. If you focus on distractions, you'll live in chaos. If you focus on discipline, you'll live in control. You choose your future by choosing your focus. Every day, every moment. That's not philosophy. That's physics. Energy follows attention, and your energy is your life. So protect it. Own it. Direct it. That's how you move from chaos to control. That's how you turn potential into power. That's how you become unshakable. When you protect your focus, you reclaim your time. When you reclaim your time, you reclaim your life. And when you reclaim your life, you finally live on your own terms. Quietly, powerfully, intentionally. That's what this book is about. That's what quiet discipline truly means. Total command of your attention, energy, and execution. And that control makes you unstoppable. You've learned to detach from outcomes. You've learned to protect your focus. Now it's time to learn the next law of quiet discipline, the one that separates peace from chaos. Next, Chapter 7, Emotionless Execution. The strongest people aren't cold, they're controlled. They don't hide emotion, they manage it, they use it, they master it. That's the difference. Anyone can act when they feel good. The disciplined act no matter how they feel. That's emotionless execution. Not because you're numb, but because you're focused. Not because you don't care, but because you care enough to stay steady. You're not here to feel ready. You're here to be ready. You're not here to react. You're here to respond. That's the shift. That's the key. Emotionless execution doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop being led by your feelings. Because emotion is a great servant, but a terrible master. If your emotions run your actions, you'll never build consistency. You'll be up one day, down the next. Productive for a week, lost for a month. That's why most people never evolve. They live on emotional autopilot. They let moods decide their moves. They let feelings dictate their focus. They let temporary emotion sabotage permanent progress. You have to be different. You have to execute regardless of emotion. That's where power begins. Here's the truth. Discipline isn't built in comfort. It's built in resistance. Every time you act when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your emotional control. Every time you push through fatigue, frustration, or fear, you train your brain to obey your will, not your feelings. That's how mental toughness is formed. Not through hype, through control. You don't wait for emotion. You override emotion. Because feelings are signals, not commands. You acknowledge them, but you don't serve them. That's the art of emotionless execution. Let's be clear. Emotionless doesn't mean robotic. It means strategic. You still feel anger. You still feel doubt. You still feel fear. You just don't let it steer the wheel. Emotionless execution is when your logic drives your action and your discipline drives your consistency. Because the truth is, emotion burns fast, discipline burns slow, and slow burns build endurance. You don't want intensity, you want stability. You don't need to be on fire every day. You need to show up every day. That's what separates the emotional from the effective. Most people make emotional decisions and call them intuition. They quit when it hurts. They lash out when they're criticized. They rush when they're impatient. And then they wonder why they never gain traction. Emotion makes you reactive. Discipline makes you deliberate. That's the difference between movement and progress, between reaction and response, between chaos and control. When you move without emotion, you make cleaner decisions. You waste less energy. You recover faster. Because emotion costs energy, and energy is everything. That's why emotional control is the foundation of quiet discipline. You have to become calm under pressure, still when challenged, focused when provoked. That's mastery. When someone disrespects you, stay composed. When things go wrong, stay composed. When you feel overwhelmed, stay composed. Because composure is control, and control is strength. You don't need to react, you don't need to prove. You just need to keep moving forward. Steady, consistent, quiet. That's emotional discipline in action. Ask yourself this. How much energy have you wasted reacting? How many hours have you lost overthinking? How many days have you ruined by feeling sorry for yourself? Emotion will drain you if you let it. Reaction will control you if you feed it. So stop feeding it. Stop giving attention to everything that doesn't deserve it. You don't owe your emotions obedience. You owe your purpose commitment. That's the key. The emotionally disciplined don't get trapped in the moment. They zoom out. They see the bigger picture. They don't ask, how do I feel right now? They ask, what does this moment require of me? That question changes everything. Because it takes you out of emotion and puts you back into mission. You can't build a future while living in feelings. You build a future by controlling your state, moment by moment. That's not suppression. That's precision. The goal is not to erase emotion. The goal is to elevate above it. Emotion is temporary. Discipline is permanent. And when you live by discipline, you stop being unpredictable. You stop being volatile. You stop being reactive. You become consistent, predictable, reliable. That's real strength. Calm, quiet, consistent control. The world confuses emotion with passion. But real passion is commitment that doesn't need excitement. It's devotion that survives boredom. It's focus that ignores mood. That's passion at its purest. That's discipline. So how do you train emotionless execution? Step 1. Create structure. Emotion thrives in chaos. Structure kills chaos. Wake up at the same time. Follow your systems. Keep your promises. Step 2. Delay reaction. When emotion hits, pause. Don't respond instantly. Give it time to cool. You'll always think clearer 5 minutes later. Step 3. Redirect energy. When anger hits, move your body. When fear hits, act anyway. When doubt hits, go back to your system. You don't escape emotion. You convert it. You turn it into motion. That's the secret. Emotionless execution is what separates the professional from the amateur. The amateur performs when conditions are perfect. The professional performs no matter what. They don't need hype. They don't need mood. They just need purpose. You can't lead yourself, or others, if you're ruled by emotion. Leadership is calm under fire. Discipline is control under stress. The more chaos around you, the calmer you must become. Because your stillness is your strength. And your control commands respect. That's the evolution. From emotional to intentional, from reactive to responsive, from chaos to control. Emotionless execution is the mark of quiet discipline. It's how you stay steady when everything around you shakes. It's how you stay moving when everyone else freezes. It's how you stay powerful without ever raising your voice. That's mental toughness. That's mastery. That's peace through control. You've learned to focus. You've learned to execute without emotion. Now it's time to learn the next rule of quiet power, the discipline of patience. Next. Chapter 8. The long game. Patience as a weapon. Everybody wants fast results. Nobody wants to wait. They want growth without grind. They want mastery without monotony. They want success without the seasons of silence. But that's not how discipline works. That's not how greatness is built. Everything powerful takes time. Everything lasting requires patience. Patience isn't weakness. It's weaponized control. It's the quiet strength of someone who knows their time will come and doesn't need it to be now. That's the key. That's the long game. You see, impatience is emotional. It's the voice that says, "I'm not there yet." It's the urge to force progress instead of building it. It's ego disguised as urgency. But patience, real patience, is strategic. It's calm. It's composed. It's disciplined. The patient person doesn't stop moving. They just stop rushing. They don't chase timing. They trust it. That's control. That's power. Every master has one thing in common: endurance. They stayed when others quit. They kept working when no one noticed. They built when it wasn't popular. Patience doesn't mean standing still. It means staying consistent while time catches up. You have to learn to outlast your frustration. You have to learn to keep planting when the soil looks barren. Because the truth is, results always lag behind effort. You won't see the fruit the same day you plant the seed. But if you stop watering it, you'll never see it at all. That's why patience is discipline in its purest form. You can't rush excellence. You can't fast-track mastery. You can't demand results before you've built the foundation. Impatience leads to shortcuts. Shortcuts lead to inconsistency. And inconsistency kills everything you're trying to build. The world celebrates the quick win. But the disciplined know, quick wins fade. Long games compound. You don't want flash, you want legacy. And legacy is only built through patience. Patience requires faith, not in luck, but in work. You don't have to know when it will happen. You just have to know that it will. Every rep matters. Every choice compounds. Every day adds weight to your foundation. But only if you stay. Only if you keep going when it feels slow. only if you trust the invisible progress. That's the quiet confidence of the disciplined, the ability to keep moving without immediate proof, because they understand. What's growing underground is still growing. You're not behind. You're being built. You're not late. You're being tested. Patience isn't waiting for opportunity. It's preparing while you wait. That's the mindset difference between amateurs and masters. The amateur waits and worries. The master waits and works. That's why patience feels painful, because you're being stretched. But that stretch is growth. That delay is development. That waiting season is strength being refined in silence. You don't need to see results right away. You just need to know you're moving in the right direction. You have to stop comparing your timeline. You have to stop rushing your rise. Comparison destroys patience. It tricks you into believing you're losing. But the truth is, your path is yours. Your pace is yours. Your season is yours. Stop looking sideways. Start looking forward. Because patience is focus extended through time. It's the long breath that separates those who last from those who burn out. Think of time as a filter. It separates the impulsive from the disciplined. It separates talkers from doers. It separates pretenders from performers. Everyone starts with motivation. Few stay long enough to earn results. Time reveals who's serious. Patience is how you prove it. That's the quiet truth. Time tests every goal, but the patient always pass the test. Patience also means emotional control. You can't be patient if you're ruled by frustration. You can't endure if you're addicted to instant gratification. That's why the modern world hates patience, because it's addicted to dopamine, not discipline. Everything is fast. Everything is loud. Everything is now. But the great ones move at their own pace. They operate on silence. They work on delay. They trust in compounding. Because they understand. Fast is fragile, but slow is strong. Here's how to build patience. Step 1. Redefine speed. Progress isn't about how fast you move. It's about how long you last. Replace hurry with hold. Step 2. Focus on systems, not results. When your goal is consistency, patience becomes easier. You don't count days, you build habits. Step 3. Embrace the boredom. The long game is boring. That's why most people quit. If you can learn to stay when it's slow, you win by default. Patience isn't passive. It's pressure applied slowly, relentlessly, quietly. Your job isn't to control the timeline. Your job is to keep showing up, every day, every season. You don't need proof. You need persistence. You don't need perfect timing. You need unwavering trust. That's the essence of quiet discipline, to work with peace while time does its part. Patience isn't waiting for your turn. It's knowing your turn will come and preparing for it in silence. And here's the truth most people never accept. If it comes easy, it won't last. If it comes slow, it will stay. Quick success builds ego. Slow success builds character. And character keeps you there. That's why patience isn't just a virtue. It's armor. It's protection against impulse, distraction, and doubt. Because the one who waits with discipline is unstoppable. So stop asking, wait, when will it happen? Start asking, how can I stay consistent until it does? Stop rushing. Start refining. Stop forcing. Start trusting. The long game always wins, because time bends for those who never stop. You don't need to be first. You just need to still be standing. That's patience. That's control. That's quiet power. You've learned to execute without emotion. You've learned to play the long game. Now it's time to face the greatest enemy of all, yourself, because all discipline begins and ends there. Next, Chapter 9. Mastering the Inner War. There's a war inside you, not outside, not in the world, inside. It's the battle between the disciplined and the distracted, the focused and the fearful, the consistent and the comfortable. Every day that war decides who you are becoming. Every morning that war resets, and most people lose it before they even get out of bed. You see, the inner war isn't fought with noise. It's fought in silence. in small moments, in choices no one sees. It's not the battle to look strong. It's the battle to be strong when no one's watching. That's the key. That's the quiet discipline that separates the temporary from the timeless. The real enemy isn't out there. It's not your boss. It's not your past. It's not the critics or the algorithm or the world. It's you. It's your comfort. It's your doubt. It's the voice in your head that whispers, "You can skip today. It doesn't matter." That voice is the enemy of your evolution, and every time you obey it, you lose ground in the inner war. You have to decide who runs your mind, your feelings or your focus, your weakness or your will, because you can't serve both. You can't build discipline and still bow to emotion. It's one or the other. You have a choice. That's the truth most people avoid. You have a choice. Every single time that inner war begins. Here's what most don't understand. The war never ends. It doesn't disappear when you get motivated. It doesn't stop when you make it. Even the strongest still fight it. The difference is, they stopped negotiating. They accepted the war as part of life. And once you accept it, you stop wasting energy resisting it. That's the power of mental toughness. That's emotional control in motion. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you win a small battle. Every time you choose stillness over reaction, you gain ground. Every time you act when it's hard, you break another chain. That's how you win. One quiet victory at a time. It's not about big moments. It's about small mastery. It's about refusing to lose to the weaker version of yourself. Here's a truth you must burn into your mind. The mind is not your friend until you train it. An untrained mind will talk you out of everything powerful. It will create doubt when you need clarity. It will create fear when you need action. That's why you must train your thoughts like an athlete trains their body, relentlessly, daily, silently, because the inner war is won in repetition. When the mind says rest, you decide work. When the mind says it's fine, you ask, is it excellent? When the mind says you've done enough, you remind it the mission isn't done. That's not obsession. That's control. That's not self-hate. That's self-command. You don't need permission to be relentless. You just need discipline to follow through. And that's the essence of mastering the inner war, ruling your reactions before they rule you. Most people lose the inner war because they think it should feel easy. They think discipline means being emotionless. It doesn't. It means feeling everything and still doing what you said you'd do. You can be tired and still move. You can be afraid and still act. You can doubt yourself and still stay consistent. That's emotional control in its highest form. Not the absence of feeling, the mastery of it. The mind will always test your limits. It will whisper, slow down. It will tempt you to seek comfort, validation, distraction. And every time you listen, it gets stronger. Every time you resist, you get stronger. Discipline isn't built in comfort. It's built in confrontation. You can't avoid the voice, you must face it. That's the work. That's the quiet fight that turns weak minds into warriors. Let's be clear. You don't conquer the inner war once and for all. You manage it. You meet it. You master it every single day. You wake up and you choose control again. You face the doubt again. You do the work again. That's what separates the average from the unshakable. The average waits for peace to feel powerful. The unshakable creates peace through discipline. Here's how to start mastering your own inner war. Step 1. Stop believing every thought. Not every voice in your head deserves your trust. Learn to observe your thoughts, not obey them. Step 2. Build small, daily non-negotiables. Something you do every day no matter how you feel. It's not about perfection. It's about proof. Step 3. Reframe pain. Stop asking, why is this hard? Start asking, what is this teaching me? Every struggle is strength being shaped in real time. That's how you train your mind to obey, not betray. Winning the inner war means understanding this. You don't rise when it's easy. You rise when you resist yourself. The enemy isn't the world. It's your own hesitation. It's your emotional reactions. It's your constant craving for comfort. You can't build a strong mind in a weak environment. So build an inner one that's unbreakable. Quiet. Focused. Controlled. That's what separates warriors from wanderers. When you master the inner war, you stop being reactive. You stop letting moods dictate movement. You stop being owned by impulse. You stop explaining yourself. You start executing. You stop reacting. You start ruling. That's the evolution. That's the mark of a disciplined mind. And once you cross that line, life changes. Because the world can't shake someone who's already mastered themselves. You've learned how to fight within. You've learned how to hold your line. Now it's time to learn what makes all discipline possible. Energy. Where it comes from, how it leaks, and how the disciplined protect it like a fortress, because control means nothing without energy to sustain it. Next, Chapter 10. Protect your energy like it's currency. Your energy is your currency. Everything you want, clarity, control, focus, discipline, depends on it. When you lose your energy, you lose your edge. And when you lose your edge, you lose your progress. You can't build discipline if you're drained. You can't maintain focus if your mind is scattered. You can't play the long game if you're constantly reacting to the noise. That's why the disciplined protect their energy like it's gold. Because it is. Energy is not infinite. It's not free. It's not something you can give away to anyone who demands it. You only get so much each day, and every choice spends it. Every argument, every distraction, every unnecessary explanation. They all withdraw from your energy account. That's the truth people ignore. They think burnout comes from overworking. No. Burnout comes from mismanaged energy. You don't get tired from effort. You get tired from chaos. That's why emotional control matters. Because emotion drains faster than anything. Every time you react, you pay. Every time you take things personally, you pay. Every time you chase validation, you pay. Your peace has a price, and most people give it away too cheap. You can't grow when you're constantly paying emotional debt. You can't stay disciplined when you're emotionally bankrupt. The key is to invest your energy, not spend it. Here's the rule. If it doesn't move you forward, it drains you. If it doesn't build you, it breaks you. Simple, but you must live by it ruthlessly. That means cutting out unnecessary battles. That means choosing silence over arguing. That means leaving some messages unanswered. Because not everything deserves your reaction. Energy management is emotional maturity. You don't owe your energy to every noise around you. You owe it to your purpose. Ask yourself, where is my energy going? Are you giving it to people who waste it? To habits that numb it? To thoughts that drain it? Every moment you give away focus to nonsense, you steal it from progress. The disciplined guard their attention like warriors. They understand. Focus leaks lead to emotional collapse. It's not about doing more. It's about protecting what you already have. That's the secret most high performers understand. Energy protection is performance. You have to learn the difference between movement and leakage. Scrolling is leakage. Explaining is leakage. Overthinking is leakage. Trying to control what's not yours is leakage. You're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're trying to manage things that aren't your responsibility. Protect your energy by setting boundaries with yourself. Stop chasing every thought. Stop fixing every problem. Stop responding to every voice. That's how you conserve power. That's how you stay sharp when others burn out. Discipline requires energy efficiency. You need to know where your power goes and cut off the leaks. The gym doesn't drain you. The doubt does. The work doesn't exhaust you. The worry does. The grind doesn't kill your spirit. Your inability to rest does. That's why stillness is not laziness. It's recovery. It's fuel. You can't command your emotions if you never recharge your mind. Rest isn't a reward. It's maintenance. That's the mindset of sustainable strength. Here's a practical truth. Every disciplined person lives by energy rituals. They wake up and protect their input. They start the day on offense, not reaction. They create before they consume. They choose silence before stimulation. That's not rigidity. That's protection. They move with intention. They know every decision has an energy cost, and they pay wisely. Because the undisciplined spend energy on gossip, the disciplined invest energy into growth. Same hours, different results. You don't need to isolate yourself. You just need to filter. Filter what you read. Filter who you listen to. Filter where your time goes. Energy is influence. Whatever you allow in shapes what comes out. You can't fill your mind with noise and expect clarity. You can't surround yourself with chaos and expect calm. If you want inner peace, curate your environment like a fortress. That's not coldness. That's control. Protecting your energy also means protecting your standards. If you keep letting low-effort people drain your high-effort goals, you'll never win. If you keep giving emotional access to those who haven't earned it, you'll stay depleted. It's not about arrogance. It's about alignment. You have limited fuel, and it must go to the mission. That's why quiet people move differently. They don't explain where they're going. They just protect the route. They know distraction disguises itself as urgency. And that's why they stay still when others scatter. Stillness is strength. Restraint is control. Silence is power. Here's how to protect your energy like a professional. Step 1. Audit your leaks. List every person, habit, and thought that drains you, and start cutting. It's not cruelty, it's clarity. Step 2. Set energy boundaries. Decide when you work, when you rest, when you disconnect. Discipline thrives on predictability. Step 3. Practice emotional fasting. Go a day without reacting. Go a day without explaining. Go a day without checking your phone first thing. You'll be shocked how much energy returns. That's the discipline of conservation, the invisible edge. Because here's the truth. You don't need more time. You need more energy within your time. You don't need a new routine. You need to protect the one you already have. It's not about grinding harder. It's about leaking less. The disciplined don't burn out because they move clean. Every action is aligned. Every reaction is controlled. That's what gives them stamina. That's what makes their consistency look superhuman. It's not talent. It's energy management. Remember this. Energy is your most valuable form of currency because it decides how far your discipline can go. Protect it. Guard it. Spend it wisely. Because when your energy is focused, your life is unstoppable. When your energy is scattered, your power is gone. Stop trading your peace for approval. Stop wasting your fuel on noise. Stop spending your energy on things that don't build you. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things, with power, focus, and peace. That's what quiet discipline really means. That's what strength looks like in motion. You've learned to protect your energy. You've learned to guard your peace. Now it's time to bring it all together. Because everything, emotional control, mental toughness, quiet discipline, leads to one final truth. The life you want is built in silence. That's where we finish. That's where the transformation becomes real. Next, the final chapter, the power of quiet mastery. Quiet mastery. That's the destination. Not noise, not attention, not validation. Mastery. You've been learning control. You've been learning stillness. You've been learning how to stop reacting, stop explaining, stop chasing. Now you learn what it all builds toward, the ability to move through life untouched by chaos. That's quiet mastery. It's not loud. It's not desperate. It's not emotional. It's unshakable. Quiet mastery means this. You no longer need to prove who you are. You no longer need to explain your purpose. You no longer need to chase what's already within your control. You've trained yourself to operate in silence. and now that silence becomes your strength. That's the final evolution of discipline. Peace under pressure. Anyone can act disciplined when life is easy. Few can stay composed when it's not. Quiet mastery means you can walk through the storm and never lose your center. It means you can face noise without reacting to it. It means you can stay consistent when others panic. You don't have to talk about your growth anymore. You embody it. You don't have to announce your goals. You live them. You don't have to seek approval. You approve yourself through action. That's the power of stillness. That's the power of mastery. The loud are often uncertain. The quiet are usually prepared. Because mastery doesn't need to prove. It needs to be. You've spent this journey learning to control emotion, strengthen focus, and protect energy. And now, you reach the point where control becomes effortless, because it's who you are. That's mastery. Not constant struggle, but calm power. It's the same calm you see in a martial artist before the fight, the same calm in a surgeon before the incision, the same calm in a leader before the decision. They've already done the work. They've already trained the reaction. They've already built the patience. Now they execute, quietly, precisely, without noise. That's who you must become. Quiet mastery is the result of invisible work. It's what happens after years of doing the small things right, even when no one noticed. It's what forms when consistency outlasts chaos. You don't rush it. You earn it. Mastery doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. Because the results speak in silence. You've seen this truth in every great performer. They rarely speak of their skill. They show it through presence, through control, through command. That's where you're heading. To a life of presence, not performance. But remember, quiet mastery isn't passive. It's not peace without power. It's power without waste. It's the ability to choose restraint instead of reaction, patience instead of panic, focus instead of noise. And you can only reach it by surrendering your need to prove. Stop explaining your discipline. Stop justifying your silence. Stop needing them to understand your grind. They don't have to. You do. You don't need their permission. You never did. The world will always try to pull you into noise, into speed, into distraction, into chaos. That's the test. Can you stay still when everything demands movement? Can you stand calm when others rush? Can you stay silent when others argue? Can you keep your focus when the world loses theirs? That's quiet mastery. It's self-command in real time. It's being the calm in the middle of someone else's storm. It's walking through fire without losing your breath. That's power. That's leadership. That's mastery. When you reach quiet mastery, you no longer chase highs. You no longer fear lows. You operate in balance. You understand that everything, success, failure, progress, pain, is just feedback. You take the lesson and move forward. No celebration, no collapse, just composure. Because mastery isn't about control over outcomes. It's control over yourself through outcomes. That's how you become untouchable. Not by changing the world around you, but by mastering the world within you. Here's what quiet mastery looks like in practice. You move with intention. Every action is deliberate. Every word is chosen. No wasted motion. No wasted emotion. You build without noise. You don't need to broadcast every move. You build in silence. You let time speak for you. You live with internal peace. Your validation comes from consistency, not attention. Your confidence comes from self-control, not applause. That's the discipline of the masters. That's the rhythm of the unshakable. And here's the paradox. The quieter you become, the more powerful you are, because silence commands attention. Stillness radiates control. Discipline creates presence. People feel your energy before you say a word. They recognize something rare, someone who doesn't need to prove anything. That's the aura of quiet mastery. It can't be faked. It can only be earned. And once you earn it, you never lose it. Quiet mastery isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of a new one. The life where you lead without noise, where your actions whisper louder than their words, where your focus speaks louder than their opinions. Because when you master yourself, you master time. When you master your emotions, you master direction. When you master your energy, you master presence. That's the formula. That's the real success. You've done the hard part. You've learned to stop explaining. You've learned to start executing. You've learned patience, control, and restraint. Now you live it. You become the example, the one who moves quietly yet transforms everything they touch. You become the steady hand when others shake. You become the calm leader when others collapse. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more mastery. It needs more people who can rise when without shouting. This is your new code. Talk less. Move more. Prove nothing. Stay calm. Stay patient. Stay disciplined. Protect your peace like it's gold. Operate like time is on your side. Because it is. You don't need recognition. You need rhythm. You don't need attention. You need alignment. That's the path of quiet discipline. That's the power of quiet mastery. And now, you walk in silence. You lead in silence. You build in silence. Because silence is strength. And strength, in its purest form, never needs to be loud.